Welcome to Interstellar Cosmic Conversations, where we share experiences from our hearts to empower others. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Interstellar Cosmic Conversations. This evening, my guest is Jarrod Harrington. He is the founder and creator of ResonatingFrequencyTechnologies.com. Jarrod and I have met through social media. We had a pretty instant connection with one another. We just really felt like we were kindred spirits. Just when I say soul family and an old soul connection, it really is about those connections to people that you feel that when you came into this universe that you just were there with one another in the beginning. And at this particular time, it's like there's this reconnection taking place that is kind of like, hey, I remember you, I know you, and I'm excited to see you again. And here we are, we're co-creating in this moment. So Jarrod, I just want to thank you so much for being here and welcome you.
Thank you, Patricia. And it's a huge honor to be part of Interstellar's Cosmic Conversations. And yes, definitely, it's funny because I remember when your name came across Facebook, and I was like, Patricia Farrington. At first I thought it was a Harrington. I'm like, well, it's only 2 letters off. I'm like, yeah, yeah. This is a sister for sure.
Yeah. I said the same thing to my husband. I said, look, his name's Harrington. You know, come on.
Yeah, it's not too. Is that your maiden name or is that?
Oh, that's my husband's name.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, by birth, well, we won't even get into that because I had so many birth names because of, you know, all the kind of interesting experiences I had growing up. But my father is a Wilson.
Okay.
And my mother was a Campbell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But so the reason that I really wanted to have you on is because of I've just observed your work and your passion and your authenticity. And you inspire me, and your family unit inspires me. What you are creating with this, with your children and with your life partner is just really inspiring. And your compassion and love for humanity and what you want to bring, you know, in for us, for our own connection to our earth and in healing ourselves. And so that's really what, you know, motivated me to want to talk to you. And I kind of kept saying, come on, Jarrod, let's go. And he was like, well, you're a little early, Patricia. And I'm like, well, I'm ready for you now, though. And I think we're all ready for Jarrod. And I just want to show everyone something very lovely that Jarrod made for me. And I've shared this on Facebook before, and I don't think that I can do it justice here, but it is just completely amazing. And it's now a part of me. We are very connected to one another. And I know that Jarrod put his heart into creating it, so I want to thank you for that.
So welcome. Actually, you helped me break the mold on that. I was having a huge creative, oh man, I couldn't, there was a missing link.
Okay.
And when you came and you're like, Jarrod, I want you to build me this Orgonite, and I was, what was it, a 4 or 5 month process?
It was months. Yeah, it was really months.
And I mean, and for people to understand, like, that when you contact me, which I'm not going to be doing personal Orgonites for a while, because I actually have I'm going to be doing about a 6-month build, and maybe on the next show we can introduce that build, because I think it's going to be pretty groundbreaking. But anyways, when I started building yours, it just came to me. I saw this mold and I ordered it, and it came in because I wanted to do the original one that you actually liked on my post and keep that one, you know, keep it like that. But it's because what I have here is, I mean, like with these pyramids, just these right here, this is basically a superconductor. It's alchemy. I've kind of gotten away from the norm of mainstream Orgonite, where it's all just metals, which, you know, they layer it and it's filters. Well, this is basically a super conductive harmonic filter is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So this in itself, and that's where the creative is. I was like, well, I got to introduce this, but then be able to put it into something else and still make it Orgonite, or still make it something that will do what I want it to do. So when I started making yours, it finally just clicked. Like, and when I get in with that person, it's like our higher selves. We are big Patricia and big Jarrod got together. We started going out there, started talking with one another, and then finally it just came to me like a rush. It's boom, and then there you go. And that right there is probably one of my masterpieces. That everything about that Orgonite went so smooth, because it's not easy. It's very hard. You got to be very I mean, everything has to be perfect. Just the mixture of the resin has to be perfect. You know, it just went smooth. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I love it, and I feel very connected to it, and I felt your heart and your spirit in it, and you know, I love it. And I have a question for you. This is just going to be completely a selfish question right now. So when you were connecting with my greater being, was I like, Jarrod? Everyone says when my greater being comes out that I am just like extremely vocal.
You were yelling at me last night, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
I
great.
heard you. It was funny because I went to sleep and I like heard you come in, and I'm like, and you're like, Jarrod, and I'm like,
what? Let me sleep.
and then yeah, then I guess we went wherever we went last night. And
yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I hear that from everyone, so that's great. So let's do this for you'll be surprised at how many people that I have come in contact with that when I share about Orgone, even with them knowing that the reality is different than what it's being portrayed as, and that energy and frequency is very important, they still don't know what Orgone is. So if you could just explain to people what Orgone is for the first time listener, that would be awesome.
Orgone, of course, was kind of it's a ether. And they're kind of different. Orgone and ether are different, but they're hand in hand. Now, of course, when you hear the word orgone, you go back to William Reich.
Mm-hmm.
The 1930s, of course, was the forefather of Orgone Energy, but he was building cloudbusters and orgone accumulators. He wasn't building Orgonite. And basically what it is and what Wilhelm Reich was really into, because he was a psychologist, and he was really into the sexual energy at first.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Transmuting that. But what he found was that it was being pulled from the ether, and it's all around us. It actually comes in from east to west, and it starts twisting. And that's when he started building his accumulators. And like me, I can see energy. So people go, well, it's pseudo. How do you know it works? How do you know it works? Because I see it. And I think that Wilhelm Reich actually had that ability. Mm-hmm. He could see it. He could see the movement of it, mm-hmm. and through his own being. And then when he built the accumulator, of course, he would stack layers of certain metals, and then this Orgone energy would come in, and it would magnify it. But it's basically what it is it's life force, prana, chi, which comes from the ether. It is it is responsible for the physical qualities of space.
Okay.
So, but it's you know, me personally, my experiences with it and what I see of it, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's what I see is it's organic. Like if we get, now we're gonna see, I'm trying to be pulled. They're trying to pull me out to the. Hold on, I'm gonna pull back for a minute. Let's see here. What it basically does is that you got negative ions and positive ions, right? Okay. So in this, and then we have the Schumann resonance, which is like if you look at the Earth, okay, the Earth is a Orgonite. You have all these layers, right? We know about the layers of the Earth, and then in the middle, I think, is like a big quartz, which has the presence of Gaia, Sophia, whatever you want to call it, and it's being compressed, right? The piezo effect. and that's where we get our north and south poles, which starts at Taurus, right? And then from there, that's where the Orgone, that's where Orgone energy starts entering in.
Okay, well, you're really advanced. So tell everyone. You said the Pisa effect. So
Geo effect, yes.
yeah, you want to?
It's the ability. It's the ability of certain material to generate an electric charge in response to applied stress.
Okay.
So just like this here, this is resin. So what I do is when you put this quartz right in here.
Oh, look at that beauty.
Yeah, that's a Fenster quartz. That's
a little bit. Yeah, up a little bit higher in the camera.
You see it?
Beautiful. Yeah. It looks like you've got the earth in the center.
I do.
Beautiful.
This is I actually inverted this pyramid right here inside of this so that it would kind of show me the inverted reality a little more. So that's what everyone has an intention. Every different pyramid, and you'll never see a pyramid of mine that's exactly the same. It's because of the creative energy. I'm always learning, and I'm growing, and it's evolving and being pushed in a different direction. But to get back on track there, so when it's squeezed, it also starts what we call the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 hertz, which is also a extremely low frequency, or the heartbeat. So that's the earth. So when that piezo effect squeezes that quartz, or it starts at Taurus and it starts generating a frequency, which is the Schumann resonance. Which, you got yin is earth, yang is sky, which is the ionosphere. So, and they correlate, and that's where you get HARP. Like, how everybody's been like, yeah, that's what HARP's trying to manipulate, because HARP is actually trying to manipulate the ionosphere. And how everybody's been like, oh, the Schumann resonance is raising, it's raising, it's raising. No, it's not. It's HARP that's doing it. They're trying to pull you out of the natural organic 7.83 hertz Schumann resonance. They don't want you to be in that. Why do you think we have all these towers and all these frequencies within the electromagnetic spectrum always bombarding us?
Well, so can I ask you a question because you just raised a point to me that's really interesting to me, because I've asked this so many times, but I feel like some people kind of regurgitate what they've learned rather than what they know. And so I've kind of questioned, like when we're talking about the earth being at a 7.83 hertz and that being her natural frequency, and then we talk about raising vibrations, this is where it gets a little bit confusing for me, because I'm trying to understand, what frequency is where we would want to be with the organic nature of Mother Earth and to feel in balance. So when you brought that up, that was really significant to me.
Well, 7.83 is where you want to be.
Okay.
The chakra system was inserted. It's not natural.
Right.
We have what they call the etheric body, which is I can see very well on people, and I have seen chakras on people before, which are quite beautiful. They really are, but it is inorganic.
Right.
It's programmed.
Yeah.
So, and that's what people need to do, is get out of that. And I'm not saying bypass your chakra. I mean, actually, what I do is I run a different loop. I come in with a golden cord right down here to the center of my belly to a primary transformer. Let's just call it in electrical terms.
Okay.
Right. So, and the gut is important, right? Like we want to keep the gut clean, because then they've done studies on this, that the gut can actually affect the brain. Like your gut, you get that gut feeling, you get that gut emotion. That's where it comes from. It comes from the gut. It doesn't come from here.
Mm-hmm.
It does come from the heart, because the gut and the heart. Well, then what I do is I run it to a secondary, so I'm basically in here is where I'm running. And then there's a tether off my belly button going up straight to the big Jarrod source, from the primary source, where I'm from.
Yeah.
Which we want to get into that. Like if you want to know more about who I am, I'm more of a neutral. I'm a neutral frequency holder. So I'm here to bring the balance back to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we have that in common.
Yeah. I think very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won't be talking right now otherwise, right? So what I do is, and here, let me try to show this so that everybody can kind of see what I'm talking about here. I don't know how well this is going to come through.
Well, just remember to put it right up to your camera, wherever your camera on your laptop is, wherever you want your focus to be. And let me put my glasses on.
Right here is where I come in, and I got this like the DNA, whatever you want to call it, but it's actually a direct current, and it comes through, comes down, and now I actually come here. Here's Earth, right? So this is where I ground, like through my tailbone, right to the center. Remember we were talking about
you go right to the heart center of the Earth.
Yes, that's that scumen that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
So I ground myself there, and then I bring in big Jarrod, or the big, this direct current to this transformer coil here, and this is the gut, and then it comes up to the heart right here, and then I tether it up to, and of course I have the Saturnian cube because that's all it is, because the brain is nothing more.
Oh, so this is an outline of your body, is what you're.
Yes.
Oh well, hello. I didn't know that.
Yes, this is an actual. I know. I didn't. If I started doing, I'm gonna do a better picture of it one day. Who knows? I might write a book or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, and then I have like one through. Let's see here. All the chakras. I'm trying to get this in here. All the chakras here. And then this is actually the inorganic side.
Okay.
This is EA Sports side. This is EA Sports
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
He's the game master, right? Well,
yeah, that's funny.
bypass his ass is what you got to do.
And that's funny, because before we started talking, Jarrod just asked me. He was showing me his drawing and said, "Can you see it?" And I had no idea what I was looking at until just now when you started going through it. Then I was like, oh, that's your body. I had no idea what I was looking at. Now I get it.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically it's my system. It's
yeah.
So what I've done is I've overridden the chakras. So let's say I'll just talk in electrical terms because I'm an electrician, and that's kind of where I've gained my knowledge of the universe, honestly.
Okay.
It's kind of neat. It does correlate. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
It honestly does. But what I'll do is I'll put like little relays in there, and then I'll have a frequency drive that comes through and a harmonic filter, and I'll filter my big Jarrod through that, and then start to push back on the matrix system. And they don't like me for it too much, but it's, hey, if you're not getting a pushback from the matrix, you're not doing something right?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, what I'm really starting to become aware of is that, we are creators and co-creators, and we have created this whole system. So what better way to neutralize it than to actually entangle ourselves in a way that we bring an alchemy that allows us to break free from what
Absolutely.
right? So that's how I see it.
Absolutely.
And to live in our sovereignty. And before you go further, there's one thing that I wanted to do straight out of the gate, and I just didn't do it because I was so excited about talking to you about Orgone. But here's what I really want to know about you personally before we go any further is, we all were born into this reality and had a set of circumstances growing up that created so much of where we are today, that have a lot to do with who we are today. Well, everything to do with who we are today. So what I am really curious about is what made you start to question the reality, and then what really took you into pursuing energy and Orgone and the frequencies. If you could go to that before we go on to the next questioning, I think that would be awesome.
Okay. My childhood was I took the path less traveled. It was very difficult. My parents I actually come from a great bloodline. But my parents were both hippies, partied a lot. My mother was abused as a child. By my grandfather, and of course that comes with being the only male. Actually, in both lines, but both sides of my family, I'm like the last male. I'm the last one. Okay. I'm it. So, but she took a lot of that aggression out on me, and So it was a rough, but 0 to 7 was magical. I mean, there was still a lot of rough times in there, but for me, my first, I was awake I would say pretty early. Like my first experience was at 3 years old, and I remember it clear as day. I was on my crib, and I remember standing up, put my hands on the crib like that, and I looked up, and this big, beautiful tiger just came right out of the wall, and it sat there, and I was awestruck. I sat there, I looked at it, and I was like, and then terror came over me, of course, and I boom dropped down over my head. I'm shaking like, oh my god, what the heck is that? So and then a couple minutes went by, and I just pulled the covers down and looked, and this feeling came over me, and it wasn't a voice, it was my inner voice. It's always been me, is what I've learned. Yeah. But it said, I've come here, I'm here to protect you. You have nothing to fear. I'm part of you. I'm here to help you through this life. And the energy cleared immediately. And I was like, whoa, and I could feel that energy come through me. And then the tiger walked, and it slept under my crib probably for 2 years, every night. So, yeah, so it was pretty neat. And I always had, I was one of those kids that I was a weird kid. I was walking under the piano, and I would, that was my happy place. And I would, actually in that house there wasn't a piano, but there was, anyway, I always had a great connection. Mm-hmm. I guess that was Big Jarrod. Mm-hmm. And, but it was my protector at the same time, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, as people see it as guides, or they see it as, whatever you want to, but it was always me.
Yeah, so the same thing for me. Like it used to, I used to not know how to put this into languaging, because so many things are being channeled to people. And what I even became aware of on so many occasions is that when I thought something was outside of myself, it was always my greater being. It was always me, because my greater being, which is where I am the creator, was always in control. Whether right. I'm acting and being reactive or whatever my role is that I'm playing, my greater being had already created this whole dynamic, for everything to play out for what was going to serve my soul, from my spirit. So I do really hear what you're saying. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it was fun. I had fun. I mean, I was a night owl. I would get out, climb. I remember crawling out of my crib. Of course, my parents were partying all night, and then they would be dead to the world. So I would get out and go roam around the house. I'd play with. I mean, there were discarnates that would come through. I've seen the satanics, demonics, which are nothing more than discarnates that have all banded together. It's just more energy.
Yeah.
No one ever hurt me, but I always had this big tiger behind me too, going, don't mess with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so 0, and I don't know, like, I think for myself, like, and what I've seen in my own children is that 0 through 7 is an awesome age, because you're going through each year, that different chakra starts opening up. So, and really, when we hit 8, then we go into the infinite loop. Right. Then you start going into the matrix. Then you start seeing the external, and that's when my life kind of went, woo. I went on a whole nother trip at that time. And that was, and it was, life wasn't easy. My grandmother pretty much raised me. My mother was always gone. My father moved to Phoenix, and I used to go see him once in a while. Yeah, it was definitely wasn't roses, but I mean, I was always, like I said, I always had this I was always protected. I think my life was supposed to be a lot much worse. There was a couple different avenues I was supposed to take, but they got derailed.
Well, you maybe you probably, when you say that, you probably have already experienced that. So when you're not experiencing that derailment, like when you're saying, it should have been much worse, it probably was on a different timeline or, in a different dimension. And so here you're like, wow, I've kind of got it easy. You're connecting to that aspect where it was really challenging. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because I've felt like, just in my own family dynamics where my siblings have felt like they were just blown into pieces. And I'm like, whew, I feel empowered. It's because I was just ready for this one. I was just ready to take what came to me. And I was already at that point to where it was going to be alchemized. I was going to heal from everything. And I was going to be able to stand in my own sovereignty. And they're going, what just happened to me? And they're still in trauma.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They tried to put trauma on me pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, to make a long story short, I mean, I ended up moving here to Florida when I was when I started my 9th grade year. I moved in with my dad. My dad was a party guy. So it was one of those households where it was like no holds barred.
Yeah.
I could do whatever I wanted, go wherever I wanted to go. I mean, so I fully immersed myself into alcohol, drugs, and because he fully supported it, because he wanted to do them too. So it was one of those things where I wasn't really parented. I was never parented, Patricia.
Yeah.
It was always me.
Okay.
No one ever helped me through school. No one ever helped me do anything. So I just, and then of course I went, and then after high school, moved on to college. Same thing there. I mean, got in more trouble there. Almost got arrested. Said, okay, it's time to move. It's time to do something with my life. So then that's when I moved to Phoenix, and that's when I got in the electrical trade. But I'll go back to when I was about 5 though, because this is kind of. I took a pair of tweezers, went up to an electrical socket because I could see it move. I could see the energy moving through it, and then I stuck them in there and boom, big old light. And that was my first experience with, wow, that was really cool.
Only a boy would get it. That's really cool. A girl would be like, Mom.
No. My 5-year-old just did it, and she was almost the same age too. It's so funny how it just kind of paralleled each other. And then because my wife was like, babe, like, there's a big black mark going up the wall, and the outlet has no power. And my daughter was like, Mommy. And she came and gave her the tweezers. And I was like, no way.
Yeah, she takes after daddy.
Yeah, it's like that apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it?
Yeah. Well, it was so funny because I can remember this. We're getting so sidetracked. So y'all, Jarrod and I have never spoken except for like one time on the phone for a brief period. So we're kind of catching up here in this conversation as well. But I can just remember in school when they had this, I have to say this because it's just like my exploratory nature. They had the fire department come to our school, and they put out all of these different devices that would potentially cause a fire or were a hazard to a child. And so I go up to the table and I'm looking around. I'm just really curious because that was my nature. And I see a mousetrap. I don't know why a mousetrap's there from the fire department, but there's a mousetrap. And so what do? I go up and I set off the mousetrap. And this big, tall fireman comes out and goes, you're a problem. He said, you'll be in jail one day in your life because you touch things that don't belong to you, and you have a curiosity that's, shouldn't be explored. And I was like,
we can't have that in this world.
Yeah. And I didn't even know what it was, really. It was, but it was so funny because then I was so embarrassed. But, that's just kind of, that's what it is. It's that curiosity. It's that creativity and wanting to know more. And when you do that in this reality, because everyone is always trying to keep you from remembering who you are and and to keep you away from your own empowerment, that they want to knock you down any way they can.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you
that's
like that,
that's a very important point for everybody to get, is that we really have to take hold of who's pushing buttons on your remote control.
Yeah, exactly.
It's becoming a sovereign, self-empowered individual means taking your energy back. It means taking everything back. Like, pull out of the matrix. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing. Once you finally figure that out, and we're talking about from the fire, like the original fire, I'm talking about, and then mixing that with the passion and then putting it out there. I mean, it's all energy, vibration, and frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you learn that, and then you can embody it and embrace it and then push it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing can harm you.
Yeah.
And that's like with all this, like a lot of people in our community, there's so much fear mongering, and it's just like, why are you letting that affect you?
Mm-hmm.
It can affect you if you get back to who you know you are.
Yeah, and you don't even you don't even have to necessarily pull out. You just co-create with the matrix and interject in your own inner light. So you're you actually will do this beautiful dance, even our adversaries are our greatest teachers.
Exactly.
So we just, okay, adversary, let's dance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I started pulling out of the matrix, EA came right to me and he's like, good job, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, he doesn't want to keep you trapped. He wants you to get out too, it's like what everybody says, but yeah, we can go into that that's a whole nother show, right, Patricia?
Yeah, it is. And I have a question for you, because when this came up, I don't know if I asked this already or not, because I got really sidetracked because I was loving what you're talking about. But when we were talking about the 7.83 hertz of the Earth, what is the 432 hertz? Why is that? Because I do have a wonderful resonance with that. It just seems to me like it is so much more gentle than a lot of the frequencies that are out there in the music world.
Did you see what they've tried to do with the 432 recently? I mean, did you see where that guy overlaid the 528, or it was 528 and 525, and he, through a tone generator, through a computer, he overlaid the two frequencies, and it opened up a portal.
No, I didn't see that.
You haven't seen that? You haven't seen that video? I'll box it to you. Well, a lot of people are, of course, saying it's fake.
Okay.
And then they did the same thing with 432, and they used like 428, I believe, and they overlaid that, and it created a dark portal.
Oh.
So, but it's 432. I mean, let's see if we can see this real quick. This is the electromagnetic spectrum. Can you see that?
Yeah, just your.
Right. So,
yes.
Okay, so at 10 times 15 is the visible spectrum, right? So, and then in the visible spectrum, which is here, right, you have 700 through 400. So violet is 400.
Okay.
All the way down to red, which is 700. So your 432 is up here. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just part of the visible spectrum frequency. Like, it's really important that people get to understand the electromagnetic spectrum. Because in that lies the key to everything.
Okay.
Like for instance, like we go to 10 times 6. This is a 60 hertz cycle, and you go down the road and you see all these power lines. It's what it is. It's way down here. It's way down here on the spectrum is where the power is, but it keeps you in fear. It keeps you low, vibrating very low.
Okay.
And then up here is where we get into the gamma, or you get into, so you basically go from microwave, thermal, infrared, visible. The visible spectrum is next, and within that visible spectrum is, and you also have the music scale. So you have English gematria also within that. So that's where the scales come in, is the visible spectrum with those frequencies. Okay. But it's very important people really learn that spectrum. I mean, it'll open you up to a whole new world once you understand that.
Okay, well, so maybe sometime we could do just a conversation on that alone. Because
yes, oh yeah, we can go into hours just on the electromagnetic, because it's very important. Well, it really is.
So when we're listening, because I'll be honest with anyone that's listening to me right now, I just want you to know, I do not get into a lot of the music that most people get into. I'm one of these sappy, I was born March 20th, 1967. I'm 50 years old. And I am still kind of stuck in the older music. That's just where that's my happy place. I don't get into rock and heavy metal or country or rap or pop. I just don't. I'm always back. I'm back there with John Denver and Simon and Garfunkel and Fleetwood Mac and beyond. So I'm kind of like really like struggling to find a way to connect to music today. But I noticed that when someone creates something in 432 hertz, it doesn't really matter what it is. It seems to bring me into a better place.
Yeah, 432 is it's on the higher levels. It's up here in the it's up here if you're going by the chakra system. It's up. That's why you're feeling the higher dimensional vibration. And then when they go to 440, they drop you down to about the bluer, which is more of a vocal, but it brings out more of a higher energy.
Okay.
So it pumps you up versus the 432. It makes you feel it's more natural. It's
okay.
more, and it gets, and that's where the 528 that gets into the green area of the spectrum.
Okay.
More loving. So I really wish they would start implementing that, because you would seriously feel like I'm actually going to start. I have a tone generator I'm looking at. It's gonna cost about $1,200, so I'm having to save up for it. But it's a it does everything.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start actually be able to use these tones through the Orgonite. So hopefully within the next 3 or 4 years, I'll be able to actually send you a device that will actually have that perfect 432 that you love so much and always be generating it.
I mean,
and you'll be like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I am that person. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that I'm just that person. I just really like that. I just like something that kind of like just makes me feel where I feel like my oxygen level and my breaths are deep and my balance is very centered. So that's just for me. We are so way off on the questions we're going to talk about tonight. This is
question?
Hilarious. I know what questions.
Who cares, right?
Yeah.
You got to go with the flow, Patricia. That's, coming into this interview, that's exactly what I said to myself. I tried to structure all this different stuff, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I know we're just going to go wherever we go.
Yeah, that's of course. But we have to have the structure so we feel like we're doing something.
Players are big into like these two knuckleheads, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be great, though. All right, so let's do this before I take us way off the rails here. Okay, so we've talked about Orgone, and we've talked Orgone. You said Orgone.
Orgone.
Yeah, and I said Orgone. So what is it? Okay, so let's talk about what the Orgone pyramid is. What?
Okay.
What is it that's significant about putting orgone in a pyramid?
Well, like we were talking about the piezo effect.
Yeah.
Here, hold on one second. Let me see if I can. Let me see here. Okay, so can you see this? Hold on, let's see here.
Just put it right up in your camera and hold it still for a minute.
Right here.
Yeah, now move your finger.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Here's a 0 point. This is actually kind of an illustration of what the actual pyramid is doing. Like I told you earlier, this right here is alchemy. So this is basically a mixture of metals.
Okay.
And then what I do is I throw and a lot of high energy metals. Like I have ormus, I have gold, I have silver, I have iron oxide, magnetic iron oxide, a lot of shungite, because shungite is very crucial for Orgonite, because it in itself, yes, I love these. And then because the C60, as that's also known as, has fullness, buckyballs. I mean, that's a whole nother show in itself too. But anyways, so what I found with this is once this stuff is alive, like when I mix this into the resin, it literally comes alive. And then I can take the magnet and then I can put it over while it's still resin, and it jumps, and I can move it around. I mean, it's really cool.
Wow.
But when you throw the magnet in there, the iron oxide all comes together and it forms almost like an egg, right? So, and then with all the quartz, I put 100% quartz sand in here. Okay. I put some sand from Sedona that I brought back in here. I put all kinds of great stuff in here. So okay. It's essentially a superconductive harmonic filter. So what this starts doing is once the magnets, it compresses, that's when you get the piezo effect, and everything starts boom, 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 like quartz. I mean, quartz in itself vibrates faster than the speed of light. So what you're doing is that magnet starts the torus field, right? And then that's where it starts pulling in any kind of positive ions, and then, or anything negative radiation, and it starts converting it from DOR to POR.
Okay.
All right, so that's just this. But now when I add it into this, and now we have, and then also you have tensor coils here, which, can you see them? I don't know if you can see them.
I can see the coils, yeah.
Yeah, the tensor coil, which is a magnifier. I mean, this whole thing, like even down here, like, see all the coils in there, like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can see the energy, like me, like when you see the energy move, I can see just energy moving. But even the Triskelions themselves, which I have one right here, will start creating a torus. Like one here, one here.
Just explain to everyone what the torus is if they don't know what it is.
What the torus is?
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's a lot more research to be done on the torus, but it's basically, I feel the torus, and this is just coming from what I feel.
Okay.
It's actually that when the piezo effect, let's go back to Mother Earth real quick. When the piezo effect takes effect and it squeezes that quartz, you get a north and a south pole, right? And that starts creating what we call the torus. It creates this torus. And then what happens is, have you heard of it kind of goes, have you ever seen the black hole, the 0 point, the black hole phenomenon, where it actually, and I'll go back to this again, where it actually, like let's say it squeezes here, boom.
Yes.
Right? And then you have a contraction and an expansion. So it starts expanding and then contracting and coming back through. I don't know if you can see it, but at the center, boom, like a black hole. And then you have, see this 23-degree angle, which is kind of crazy. Like the Earth is at a 23-degree angle, but this has been proven. They've actually shown it that when a black hole actually is light in here and it starts emanating light, and it starts this pattern here. But the torus is, I guess, it's creation.
Okay.
So when you're squeezing that, the piezo effect, then bam, the torus starts and it starts creating. Now it's not creation, it's just energy. So it's just an energetic body.
Okay.
Is what you can say. It's now what you put in the torus. That's where it gets interesting. And then we can get into the vector equilibrium, which I'll show you this real quick. Like here, see this right here? That's what they call the vector. This right here, which is square wave, triangle wave, and then you have sine wave.
I see it. Yeah, I see it all.
Which tone generators also do. Okay, and then we get into this bad boy, which is basically your 64 pyramids, DNA 64. I mean, we can go deep into this one.
Yeah. Well, we're just
gonna. And which creates Metatron's cube.
Yeah, we're just going to touch on a lot of things tonight, just so that we get, so you can share,
But what I'm saying is, that kind of gets inserted into the torus, and that's where creation starts, or the matrix starts, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. So, I'm going to skip something. This is something that I really want to go into. So one of the notes that I took for myself is, I know that radiation and manipulation of frequencies is a concern for many. So when we're looking at electromagnetic radiation and radio frequencies, what's the difference, and how can energy devices help neutralize their effects? Does that make sense, the question I asked? Yes. Okay.
Well, like I said, like you have negative and positive ions, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is these coils, these toruses start pulling the energy. So what happens is it comes in, it starts pulling energy, it comes through this, and I also at each edge of these I use Lumerian seed, which Lumerian seed quartz actually hold memory, which I love the feeling of these. Right? So energy comes in, you have the middle pyramid, which is the actual alchemy, or the Orgonite, which is inside here. And then it comes through there, it starts, and that's where it starts converting the positive ions to negative ions. Or and they have a range too. Like they call it the Bovis scale. Like these here can go up to 40 to 50 feet in circumference. They will protect your home.
Okay.
But so it's when energy comes in, it's basically it's coming in like this, and it comes in, and then it's filtered through this, and then magnified, and then boom, straight out here. And depending on what kind of quartz you're using, like I use, like these are pretty cool.
Oh,
right here, I use those at the tip now, but you can get a huge field. Like this can start, it starts kind of like moving like this. Like, but it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know, did I answer that?
Oh yeah, no, that was great. Yeah. No, that was great. Yeah. And so, okay, so you're going to go into what you just shared is going to go into something else too, because you went right into it. So what is the effect when combining Orgonite with crystals, minerals, and other precious materials and stones? So you're already going there.
Well, it's like I said, we go back to the piezo effect. So these all quartz, I love quartz. It's like I said, it vibrates at the faster than light, faster than the speed of light. This thing is vibrating, right? So when you're filtering when the DOR or the negative electromagnetic energies or frequencies are coming in, it comes out. And the thing about quartz, or any stone for that instance, like shungite, for instance, this is 1 billion years old. This is 1 million years old, multi-millions of years old. Well, you know how much residual energy these are holding, and information, and just the power that is in these things is just awesome. And it's all organic. It's just straight from our earth, right?
Yeah.
So it's organic. So you're taking all the inorganic frequencies coming in and transmuting it to organic positive radiation. Because radiation, there's a huge thing with radiation. People think it's really bad, but I mean, gamma ray. I mean, from your sun, the sun is radiation.
Yeah.
It's a carrier wave. And what happens if you stay in the sun for too long? You get burned. I mean, yes, there is bad radiation. There really is, but it's not as bad as people think. I mean, there's a whole nother level to that that we can go into in another show if we want to go deeper into that.
Yeah, my husband said the same thing to me. He was like, I am so tired of hearing about the negative radiation. He said, because, he felt like it was kind of like one of these things that's being blown out of proportion.
It is.
Yeah.
You know that a rock this size of uranium, they were literally quarantined for like a quarter mile. But I've talked to actual nuclear physicists, and they said, they just laugh. They go, no, it's actually beneficial for you. And I'm like, well, why is that? Because they're like, because Jarrod, they don't want people like you having their hands on it.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's a very big, people really need to quit. I mean, like even Fukushima, I'm not saying it's not doing bad things, but it's not as bad as we think it is, as they're making it to believe it is.
Well, it couldn't be as bad as it is, and yet life still goes on and exists on a very functional level, So, I mean, look, I've talked with people that try to create the scare around it, and I'm sure that in their belief system, that's the truth. So I don't want to take that away from them, because we all are where we are. I mean, but at the same time, I've looked at, there's so many different things that people will say have created harm to them. And once I am aware of my relationship with these energies, entities, beings, whatever, the threat it doesn't exist any longer.
Exactly.
And so,
Absolutely. It's just that simple.
yeah. And so what I look at when I look at something like what you create and the energy behind it and the elements that are involved, I always think, well, like I know my greater being is greater than anything I could ever encounter. But at the same time, I know that everything that exists is a part of this universe and a part of our earth, our sun, everything that exists. And so I'm like, wow, this is the organic. So why don't when I touch it, this is part of the organic. So why don't I want this to be around me? Like I would always want this to be in my presence, because when everything is being presented in this matrix from a synthetic level, I want to hold on to every organic part of this creation that I can, because
Yeah.
just is part of, it's no different than, a mother holding her baby or a spouse hugging their spouse. It's just something that is connecting you to what's real and pure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, you hit on it big time right there. I mean, it's just, that's where our community needs to start going,
Mm-hmm.
is quit focusing on all the BS,
Yeah.
and not just bullshit, but belief system. Everything is a belief system. They want you to believe something. As soon as they have you, hook, line, and sinker, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You've given your energy away.
Yeah.
So we need to seriously learn to take back and not allow your energy to be harvested by, because it isn't. I mean, it's not doom and gloom. We're creating it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so what's to fear? There's nothing to fear.
And even
But now if everybody collectively is fearing that, then yeah, it's going to come true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that these devices, I think that's the biggest thing that the devices do, is they push my energy out and that neutral balance out there into the world, into the collective,
mm-hmm.
so that people are starting to wake up. Because there's so many great things going on out there, but you never hear about them.
Yeah.
And there's beautiful things going on out there.
Yeah. It's like what I shared with you earlier when I said that, my friend shared the inner ear of a well with me. It's what this did was it didn't empower me in a way that I didn't already have an empowerment, but it connected me to another greater being in this reality. And I felt the energy of this being, and it was just like beautiful. It was just like this deep, soul connection. And I feel like that's what you're creating. You are creating what is a reminder and a connection to everything that we are on the organic level.
Absolutely. And yeah, you said that beautifully. And I mean, that thing is, how old is that?
I don't want to, Heather, please forgive me, because I can't remember if you said millions or billions, but it's ancient.
So that's what I'm saying. And whales are they hold the memory of the planet.
Yeah.
Mother Earth has given the whales, dolphins.
Yeah.
I mean, aquatic beings are just, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I love, I'm an ocean guy. So.
Me too. Me too. Okay. So, okay. When you are creating for others, what process do you go through to choose for each person that you're working with? Like how is it that you connect with their energy? What is the process that you go through? And the reason I'm asking this is because as people are listening to this, they would want to know how you would create for them in a way that they felt really cared for.
Well, just like our connection, Patricia, you were brought, like, Orgonite. I never in a million years would have thought I'd be sitting here doing an interview.
Right.
And the only reason I'm doing that is because of my Orgonite and what I've been doing, the creating of it. So that person is automatically going to be drawn to me.
Okay.
Because, you know what I mean? And then what I do is our bigger beings get together, we'll talk. And sometimes, Patricia, I'll just be like, I can't even build it for you because we're just not on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? So, I'll be upfront and honest about that too. Like, I don't want everybody to have my Orgonite.
Yeah.
It might sound bad, but it's birds of a feather. Well,
if someone's going to misuse it.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm very sensitive to energy. I'm an empath. so yeah, and honestly, right now, like, so for all those out there that I haven't built for, I'm not saying that at all, that you're not one of my people, but I'm very, I have 6 kids. I got to keep 1 foot in the matrix at all times, 1 foot out of the matrix, and I'm trying to hold this balance down. I'm trying to be this frequency holder, trying to balance the energies out in this realm, and it all can be very overwhelming at times. But I know within the next 5 years, I'm going to get more in depth with that. I really do want to have more one-on-one, but right now I can't give people the time, the quality time that I can give, and I'm only going to get better and better. I'm going to evolve and grow. So I mean, honestly, I'm just at the starting point with my work. But over the next couple of years, that's when it's really going to get serious, when I can really start focusing on RFT and put all my energy into that area. But I mean, it's what I'm going to start doing now is I'm just going to build, and then I'm going to put my Orgonite up, and if you resonate with it, then I'll sell it to you.
Yeah.
And if we resonate together, then that's.
And you'll create together.
Yeah, we'll create together. 'Cause that's what it is. It's a co-creation. It's a co-creative process that we're doing together, but we're both helping to uplift and the consciousness of the planet so that we can all together. Because in my opinion, that's what I came here to do.
Yeah.
I didn't just come here to step out of the matrix and go, okay, I'm done. No, I came here to help, try to pull all my brothers and sisters out of here.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're done, you're done. There's no reason to be here. You're creating because that's what you're here to do. So let me ask you this. So I did ask a few people some questions on Facebook. I just wanted to give everyone an awareness that we were having this conversation. And some of the questions I was going to ask you kind of came up here. But when it comes to products or devices, what is best when you're dealing with electronics? What would you recommend for people if you were going to create for them to protect them from the frequency of electronics?
What's sitting right behind you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know that's why that was created.
The perfect one. Honestly, that one
that's mine.
Yes, they're so beautiful. I mean, but there's different ones. Like I think I sent you a TB.
Yeah.
You know, I like the pyramids that I made, like I created for you, to be more of a personal pyramid that you can bond with. Mm-hmm. And the TBs are better for towers or for your Wi-Fi box or if you're for your computers. Mm-hmm. And they're very inexpensive. I can sell those for $20-$30 a pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so my tower buster is it's behind my salt rock lamp. It's because my 5G wireless router is behind that, and so that's where my TB is sitting. You can't see it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the salt lamps are great. They actually let off negative ions. I mean, they'll clear a room on their own.
Yeah. I
have 4 of them in my house. Yeah. And sacred space is very, very important.
Yeah.
It is very important to create your sacred space. Shield your area. Like my house, I'll be serious. I'm probably protected within a 30-mile radius, and I got shields up at all times. I don't joke around, man. You ain't coming into my hood.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people have commented on my office a lot. They're like, wow, I love all these little accoutrements and things that you have. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is where I spend the bulk of my time. So I want everything to be, if I'm going to be indoors and not out connecting to nature, then I want as much nature in here as possible.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I try to create, for myself. So now someone asked this question, and I thought this is really a good question. Tracy asked, I have a question. As far as new technologies are concerned, especially 5G, how can we protect ourselves using crystals and our own inner frequency? Here where I live, there are fallen trees, so that these trees will no longer be an aid to us when frequencies change with new technologies. They will no longer be soaking up the frequencies. As we lose our trees, more and more people are feeling how Wi-Fi frequencies can affect us, like depression, headaches, feeling low. If there is any information that you can share to protect us with these new technologies, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor as well. and of course she's probably talking about 5G,
Yeah.
about quantum. Of course they're going to protect you. It's organic. It's always going to filter out anything that's inorganic or that's external. The external frequencies. And here's the other thing, like where thought goes, energy flows. Don't let it.
There you go.
You know what, Patricia, that I've learned is I'm the ultimate Orgone.
There you go.
You know, I mean, this is just an external part of my internal. That's all that is. And so as soon as you take your power back, you say, like, who's pushing buttons on your remote control? Is it you or them? Because that's what's going to happen. So we need to go inside, do the inner work, and become sovereign. They can't touch you.
Thank you.
They can't touch you.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It really, truly is. And people don't, it's like, but here's the problem. A lot of people don't want to do the inner work. They want gurus and everyone else to tell them what they need to do. And that's where everybody has to go, hold the phone. Nope. I'm taking me back. I'm taking my power back.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, so I agree with that. See, so when you say that, like I could just say, well, no more questions to be asked, because
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, seriously, you kind of nailed it. Because like my next question, one of my the Facebook friends was like, when you have Orgone pyramids for clearing a room around the house, how effective is this, and how best to do it? So for me, it's kind of like, okay, this is what I would say. Think about this. When we don't know how to connect to our greater being,
right.
Okay, that's when these, instead of you and I who know,
I hear you.
I love you, I'm connected to you, you are just my organic, natural connection to everything that is. But for somebody else, this is their protection.
Well, and that will do 40 to 50 feet in circumference. So take a tape measure, run it out 50 feet, and say you got a 2,000 square foot home, 3 Orgonites would be sufficient.
Okay. So
just create that sacred space in your bedroom.
Okay.
Well, here's another thing I have, Patricia. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but we have pendants as well. Yeah. Which I also want to give a shout out to my energy artisan. Oh my gosh, I don't want to butcher this. Brianna, I love you, girl. You're the best. But she makes all my pendants. She does all the wraps, but she actually wrapped this one for me. And this has unique magnetics in it. I have a north, south, north, and it creates a Faraday cage. These are
my husband's gonna want to talk to you about that one.
Yeah, these are actually very powerful. And actually, this one right here, I did the same magnetics in this pyramid. This isn't just one neodymium, which I use some pretty powerful neodymiums in them.
Okay.
So they don't play around. But these are, I mean, these are great. Like you can, they're a little bulky to be wearing around your neck, but I like to have one in my car. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we can do. I'm gonna have eventually, Patricia, I'll have a whole line of stuff. I have, like, even at my house meter, I have literally, like, I have a chembuster base that I hooked in to the actual grounding system of my house. So anything coming in from utility right at that point so my whole house is pushing POR.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna kind of make it smaller so that people can put a package together. I am gonna do a package deal eventually.
But you jumped ahead of me because I was gonna ask you about her pendants.
Yeah, but if anybody wants to get a hold of her, it's Brianna Davis. She was my she was a dance teacher for my children. She's just a beautiful soul. She's
okay. So I want to make sure I answer the questions, and it may be redundant to you, but I'm going to ask the question anyway because I want to make sure that I answer the questions for the people that shared in social media. So someone's saying, can we make and use Orgone products, devices, pyramids, whatever, on towers? If so, what kind of Orgone devices, and can we use other materials besides resin to bind the Orgone together for bigger ones? That's kind of above my I don't understand.
Yeah, plaster I think is one.
Okay.
Um,
Oh yeah, she did plaster. She did plaster.
yeah. I think that's one of the only. I mean, anything that you can go from a liquid to that'll actually turn to a solid.
Okay.
But you just have to make sure you put the right. I mean, there is. You're supposed to do like this. I do a 40 to 60 ratio with resin to metals. I mean, there is a ratio you have to use. There's a lot of science behind this. There's a lot of physics behind this. There's a lot of chemistry behind this. There's a lot of electrical knowing, frequency knowing. I mean, just I studied for about 2.5 years before I even made my first one because I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then I didn't know, I mean, what if it had a reverse effect? I was very careful. I wanted to make sure I was doing it correctly. Mm-hmm. So yes, there is ratio, and you have to. There's a lot of knowledge involved in this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of research, a lot of study. So.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit I'm clueless. I mean, I'm telling you, my husband, I'm wearing a receptor that Dr. Fred Bell made for me.
Okay, yeah.
And it's got my birthstone, which is aquamarine. And I was so freaking clueless when my husband bought this for me. He wanted to make sure that I had it because he was so into what you're into now. I was almost like, you should interview him instead of me. Like, no. But
maybe we can work on that, right?
Yeah, because I mean, years back, he had me wearing this when I was like, what the hell am I wearing? This thing is heavy. What is it? It looked like, and I wasn't aware like I am right now. And so I was just like, okay, I'll wear it. I feel like I'm wearing a flying saucer. That's what I was saying. I was so clueless. And there's just so much that is relevant to energy and our connection with all that is. We cannot deny that frequency and energy matters, because we'll always say this throughout the day. All of us do. Man, I couldn't be around that energy. It was too intense. Oh, wow, that frequency was like an overload. We want to kind of not necessarily give these types of things enough value, but we'll acknowledge it every single day in our relationships with people and the environment and animals. And that's why it's so important. Like, don't just pretend like this is irrelevant, because you're acknowledging it with the things that you're sharing on a constant basis. It's very relevant.
Well, it's all part of the experience.
Yeah, it is. And so it's amazing to me. So somebody else wanted to know, how important is placement of your devices?
It can be, it depends on what device you're using. I actually set mine up to true. You have to find true north, which you actually have to douse for true north. So you can use like because the earth is of course tilted 23 degrees, and that's magnetic north, but that's not true north. Okay. Like if you bring, like, say we're here and you come here, well, that's where we got disconnected from source, is when they tilted us 23 degrees. So you want to find true north. And if you have a pendulum, you can find it. Use use your phone. They have a compass on there. Find north, and then douse for magnetic north, and then face your pyramid. Whatever, use your intuition to wherever you want to go. Like if I do a meditation pyramid, then that's what I want to do. I want to align it with true north, not magnetic north, true north, because that's opening me back up to source. Which that's another huge one that, that's a whole other show in itself too. But once you realign yourself back, you get back into alignment, that's where, your source energy starts coming back in. And that's when I finally realized that, and I did that, that's when Big Jarrod really took over and started kind of guiding my life to a point where I'm at now.
Okay, and I've got another question for you. When it comes, this is something that's been kind of relevant to a lot of people, because this is something that I guess is coming up in our reality more and more. Do you ionize or see a purpose in ionizing or infusing your water with Orgone energy and the Schumann frequencies?
Oh yeah, I have a well,
Okay.
and I have the shungite, and I actually put in a canister, like a big tube, and I just dumped shungite. Shungite is the best.
Okay.
This, and I mean, just whatever else you want to use, like lemon. Like what I'll do to alkaline my body is I'll use shungite and lemon water and a little baking soda from time to time, because it's all know thyself, right?
Yeah.
You have to know when you're out of balance or you need to get back into alkaline. You don't have to live this perfect lifestyle. You can, but it's just knowing yourself. It's knowing your temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing when you can do this and when you can't do this, and then getting yourself back in alignment. But water to me is essential. I mean, we're 70% water. So yes, I am very big on my water, and shungite is one of the best things I've found to use for that, because the C60, there's actually been huge research that's been done on it, that they're proven now that if you give it to more elderly people, they're actually being able to live 30 to 40 more years.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel the same way. So I haven't done the shungite, so that's new for me.
Yeah, it's very good.
But I will always do like the baking soda and the lemon in my water for just to alchemize it.
Yep.
And to create that pH balance. And, I've been hearing recently a lot about putting like gold or crystals or different types of elements of the earth into your water. And so when that came up, I thought, well, that's a really interesting question, because how, relevant is that to our drinking water? I mean, our drinking water is not pure. We know that.
Yeah. And every different mineral has a different frequency or different vibration. So like a quartz has a certain vibration, a citrine has another vibration. So you really have to just go with your intuition on it, what you feel. Like malachite, I love malachite. It's a green, beautiful, loving stone.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you want. I mean, play with it. But each one has a different frequency and a different vibration. So once you put that into your water, yeah, it's gonna raise the vibration of that water. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's very beneficial for you.
Okay, awesome. Well, is there anything that you would like to share before we close? I had told Jarrod earlier that I've been looking at just the different types of interviews that I've been seeing online, and I've noticed that when they go over a certain period of time that people start to lose interest. So I kind of capped him on time, and I'm trying to do that with all of the people that I talk to in the future, because I just feel like we can come back and do this again and again and again, rather than try to overwhelm people in one interview. And I really do appreciate everything that you've shared. I feel like it's been very informative. I've learned so much. And before we close, I would just like to say, is there anything that you would like to add to what you've shared tonight?
Not really, Patricia. I just really want to just thank everyone, especially everyone in this community, man. You guys have been all my fellow co-creators. I love all y'all. Y'all taught me so much, and I'm so grateful that this community exists. I mean, without it, I'd be lost. It's just so nice to be able to connect with, like-minded individuals, because, I mean, let's face it, 70% of people out there think we're nuts, we're crazy, we're cuckoo, we're out of our minds.
Oh, we're lucky if it's only 70%.
I was doing it due justice there, but I'm trying to be an optimist here. But yeah, more like 10%. But no, I just want to give my thanks to everybody out there. I love all y'all. I love all the work y'all are doing. Keep up the hard work. And I think what we touched on earlier is empower yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what we all need to do. If we're gonna get out of this place we're in, we have to start taking it back. Yeah. And we have to do it with the fire, the original fire, and with passion, which is missing these days. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot within the next 5 years. You're going to see huge pushes, but it's not going to be real. And then we have to use discernment, like the feminine, which is one thing that I feel needs to be pushed a lot more. We need that, like you posted the other night, and I love that, because we need the nurturing, the real matriarchal, nurturing, divine feminine, not this
natural woman.
That's right, the natural woman, the one who loves with her fire and with her passion, and she will never let her children, I mean, you want to know what the real balance is out there? It's like if we were to like put everybody in the House, Senate, and everywhere else, make it 50% women and 50% men, how do you think this planet would run?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're talking about on the government level, I'm not really
Well,
sure.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, just insert 50% women at that level and 50. I think that would be much. I mean,
How about this? 50% organic masculine,
yes.
50% organic
Okay, there you go.
feminine. Yeah, then
Yes,
you got me.
yes. I'm saying there's that balance, but that's what I'm saying. We got to get the women have a big job to do here.
Yeah, but see, you do. I mean, I will say this, like everyone knows that I'm a George Kavasilis fan because he is a true soul brother. And I'm a big fan of yours because you're a true soul brother. And what you both embody, even if you don't have the same truths, and you might have very similar and they might differ because we all are like that, but what you both embody is a good balance of masculine and feminine energy. That's what makes you stand out above the average,
Right.
and so that's very felt.
Yes, and that's important also,
Yeah.
and that would solve everything right there. If people could just learn to balance their own energies.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to say when you used that one example. I was like, well, we got to go a little bit away from that just to because what you embody is real. It's the organic.
Right.
So before we say goodnight, I just have to ask one favor. Please bring up that pyramid again with the earth in the center. I want you to do like
oh, yeah, this is my baby.
It's gorgeous. I'm jealous now.
Oh, that light. Let's see if I can see this one.
Yes, like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, and there's our center sun right there. I mean, this has a lot of esoterics in it. This has a deep look at that. That's inverted.
Wow. That is amazing. I mean,
this Fenster quartz right here, this is actually what they put in the Timex watches, and it actually is self-sustaining. It doesn't need a battery or nothing. It just literally powers itself. This is the perfect timekeeper.
I mean, that is
yeah.
That's just outstanding.
I know. I can't let go of this one yet.
No. but I want one.
Well, as soon as you see something, because I'm fixing to go crazy. I'm gonna take, like I say, I'm gonna take the next 6 or 8 months, and I'm just gonna build. Yeah. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put everything up on the site. I have to restructure my website this summer. As we evolve and we grow, that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of restructuring to do. But,
yeah.
yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight, and let's do this again. This was our introductory. This is Jarrod's first time of coming out to the public.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking.
And no, I mean, I think it was awesome. And, it was just fun. I mean, this was just like fun conversation between friends for me. And it wasn't so much of an interview. It was just like a connection. And, we can go deeper and deeper. We'll just see how you want to proceed in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Like I said, like we can, I mean, yeah, we can go pretty deep.
Yeah, and so what I'll do, just for everyone listening, when this uploads, I will share it on YouTube and on my website, and I will give you the links to Jarrod's website and his social media, and if you want to connect with him and look at what he offers is in his products, that'll be between you guys, but it'll be there for you, and, you can reach out to Jarrod anytime you would like.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jarrod.
Thank you, Patricia. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for me too. Good night.
All right, good night.